A lot of nurses are very much broke. A lot of y'all got hired during COVID, so y'all thought those $5,000 contracts per week was gonna last. So y'all bought Mercedes, BMWs, and them Infinity's SUVs. I know what I'm talking about. A lot of y'all ended up turning in these vehicles because you can't make that $1,200 payment.
You want to know what's so funny? I posted a video the other day talking about the fact that I'm 26 years old and I'm in 95,400.
Goodness gracious. She's a nurse. $95,000 worth of debt at 26. And crazy enough, that's not even really that bad.
$187.73 worth of debt.
Why are so many nurses so broke?
Y'all be saying y'all broke, and y'all nurses, like y'all, the broke nurse, y'all ain't got no money in your nurse. What y'all be doing? Like, I don't really know.
Nurses are not rich, bro. Like, I see a lot of people that talk about nurses are rich, and say even like nursing students, they come out, they see all the videos of these people buying AMG, they buying Benzes. I promise you they're not doing that working 36 hours. Most of these nurses, they're not telling y'all the full story on the internet that they have second jobs, they're working 70, 80 hours a week.
If you have to work overtime to pay for your regular lifestyle, then you are living above your means. I don't know if no one's ever told you this, but I'm telling you this. New grads, do not let anyone pressure you living above your means. Lifestyle creep is real, and many people who have poor financial habits will try to guilt trip you or make you feel bad that you have to live this certain lifestyle. You have to take the trips to Tulum. You have to be able to buy out a section for your birthday. No, we are not putting in our blood, sweat, and tears into nursing for us to just blow it all in one night and then need to work overtime just to sustain our lives.
Yeah.
I once worked with a nurse that drove a Mercedes. She lived in a high-rise apartment with her family, and she took trips quite often. And she literally had to work 6 days a week for her lifestyle. I remember once the census had fell and she started freaking out. Like, she was crying at the nurse's station because she said that if she doesn't get overtime, she's not going to be able to pay her rent. And I remember being a new grad thinking, like, is this what nursing lifestyle is, that we're supposed to be working 6 days a week just to afford our living? Also, I remember people making fun of me because at the time I drove a 2008 Ford Fusion and I had paid off my Ford Fusion. Someone made fun of me that, oh, you're a nurse, why are you driving a Ford? It's time for you to upgrade. You've been a nurse 2 years. And I'm like, do I have to upgrade my car? It works perfectly. It's fine. It starts every time I get into it. It takes me from point A to point B. I'm good. And they're like, yeah, but you're.
Yeah, I'm so glad she mentioned that. These trips are taking a lot of you ladies out. These trips, because what I noticed is that's usually a great indication of living paycheck to paycheck, maybe even taking out debt as well. These trips are destroying a lot of just people in general's financial future, right? It's guys that take trips too, and some guys like to try to take trips with chicks, and then what do? They pay for everything, right? And so it's kind of the same dilemma. But yeah, I definitely agree. And I like the fact that she mentioned overtime is good, but it should be something as seen to get ahead because you're not always guaranteed overtime. And I would even argue a lot of the nurse salaries, you're not guaranteed that either. So while things are good, while things are high, that is an opportunity to actually get ahead and set yourself up well so that, when things fluctuate, you can just continue business as usual. Let's get back into it, hear her complete thought. Before we do, if you all could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype.
You're a nurse, you don't have any kids, you should be living a better life. And why are you living in the hood? I was like, back then I was just so happy to just have a place of my own and a car of my own and be able to work an independent adult. And here I was being clowned for not having a lifestyle that I could not afford.
Can someone tell me why I'm the only one at my work that cannot afford to buy takeout for lunch every single day? I'm over here with my 3-day-old leftovers, my K-cup coffee, and they're on their like third delivery of the day. Is it just me? Am I the only broke one that works here? I'm the supervisor. I'm not supposed to be the broke one, but I am the broke one, apparently.
What's
according to
that
how many
supposed to mean?
DoorDash deliveries I see here every single day.
I'm a nurse, and let's spend my depressingly low.
And that's the problem. Stop counting people's pockets. Stop thinking that things start and end at work. Let me explain. You could be the supervisor at work. That's fine, but you don't know what people got going on outside of work. They could have relationships. They could have other jobs. They could have been good stewards of their money for a long time to where they're in a great situation and maybe even they invest, whatever the case. Don't just sit here, I'm the supervisor, I can't afford this. How come they can afford this? It's none of your business. The only concern you should have is being able to afford that. Just worry about your finances. Don't worry about anybody else's finances because things like that are very complex and you can't just do 1 plus 1 type of math to try to understand somebody else's financial situation. A lot of different factors, a lot of different variables can go into it. It can be a lot deeper than just knowing someone's position and assuming what they have.
Paycheck. So for the last 2 weeks, guys, I got paid a whopping $14.76 after taxes, and that is actually correct. So what happened was I missed 1 day of work because I got called out since there was no patients on the unit. And if you get called out of work, you just miss those hours. They don't pay you for that. So $14.76 is what I took home the last 2 weeks. I lose $4.80 right off the top because of my car payment and insurance, and I'm definitely gonna cry tonight. My vet appointment for my cat, $250 because Bean has asthma and she needed new medication. She needed new chest X-rays. It's a lot, but I love her. And then my own
Chest
medical bills,
x-rays.
$355 because I need a CAT scan on my tummy because my tummy aches
That's ironic.
are vicious right now. Yeah, credit card bill $220. I'm back now at a zero balance, so that's nice. I just want to pay it off in full. Groceries $145 for 2 weeks, and the rest I just
This dude went and spent almost $400 to go to the doctor because he had a tummy ache. Word.
So funny. I posted a video the other day talking about the fact that I'm 26 years old and I'm in $95,487.73 worth of debt, majority of that being student loans. And the response from people is just absolutely wild. And I'm sitting here responding to comments of people shaming me, and they're trying to wonder how it even got to this point. They're trying to put me down, saying I'm never going to pay it off. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I went to school, did what I had to do to become a nurse to help people, and people were shaming me for doing that. I went to school to get a career where I can better people's lives, save lives, and I'm being shamed for the way that I had to do it. I put myself in a financial burden to go get a degree, to help people, to save lives, to better people's lives, and I'm being shamed for the way that I had to do it because I didn't have mommy and daddy paying for my college. I had to take out student loans. You don't even realize how bad student loans can get because in the moment when tuition is due, all you're thinking about is making that tuition date and paying the tuition. So you just signed. That's how it gets to where it is. You just signed because you have to do what you have to do in that moment in order to accomplish your goals. And that's what I did.
I truly do not understand where the
Here's the distinction we have to make because we're so quick now today to distinguish, or excuse me, this is what we have to distinguish. We're so quick to try to label something as shame when really it could just be constructive criticism or maybe even critique. She comes online, she decides to disclose her financial situation, i.e., her financial debt. And when she gets critique, then she calls it shame. No, ma'am. I think people are just saying, man, you went into 100 grand debt to be a nurse. Don't know if that's worth it. Don't know if that math makes sense, especially if you're not aggressively paying it off. I don't think that's shame. I think that's just people saying, I wouldn't do that. Shoot, I wouldn't do that. Y'all need nurses. Not to mention the fact that I'm pretty sure it was a time. If she's a nurse now, I remember when there was a time when they were almost like giving those things out. Here's what I mean. I remember a time when they were like letting people go to either it was very cheap Or a lot of times too, you could get your whole school paid for to be a nurse because they just needed nurses so bad. So I think what it could be is, why did you decide to go about it that way? Was it a certain school you wanted to go to? Did you make that concession, which ultimately came with you having to also have that student loan on the back end? Because I think had you had done a little bit of research, you could have found some type of program where you could have either got your nursing degree a lot cheaper, or you probably could have even got it for free and maybe got some grants on top of it.
Notion that new grad nurses and nurses in general are paid an absurd amount of money and are rich and make a ton of money came from. Obviously, everything is adjusted to the cost of living. I do not make that much in the grand scheme of nursing, but I don't live in a very high cost of living area, so I guess it makes sense. Obviously, we all would love to be paid more and, quite frankly, deserve to be paid more, but I'd love to debunk the fact that you can be hitting 100,000 in your first year as a nurse, with the exceptions of the Pacific Northwest and California, where there are a lot of different rules, unless you're working absurd amounts of overtime and kind of being a slave to working. Because I can tell you for an absolute fact that hitting that 100,000 mark, at least where I am at, are only achievable by the people that are legitimately living at the hospital.
Sorry, I gotta be the one to break the bad news.
Before we get into the bad news, what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Okay, ooh, you didn't hit 100,000 in your first entry level year of being a nurse. Okay. Oh no, I made 85 grand my first year of being a nurse. Is that what we're really doing? Your first year. And like she said, you can hit it if you work some overtime. It's absolutely you can hit 100 grand in nursing if you do the overtime, even on your first year, or if you get a part time job. But oh no, the base salary my first year of being a nurse, you're going to be a nurse for probably 30 years minimum, at least. And you're mad that your first year you didn't cross over $100,000, and you're like, oh no, I need to dispel that. Everybody thinks that's the case. Is that where we're at now? Is that where we're getting to? Is that how entitled we are? It's a nursing degree. It's not like you're the doctor. And I would say, I mean, you'll definitely get there. It's not too far away. But regardless, your first year, you're still gonna make a definitely a livable wage for sure. And and you got to remember, it's only up from there. People got to keep a little perspective. People just want things so instantaneously these days. They have no patience and no vision ultimately to really think about, the long term view of these things.
Y'all, it's too many nurses making y'all think y'all gonna be buying a Mercedes straight out of nursing school, designer bags, and out of country flights. The luxurious lifestyle everyone wishes for. Unless you
Mm.
living with your parents or you ain't got no kids, that's probably not gonna be the case 9 times out of 10, especially when you're not travel nursing. Sorry guys,
Mm.
we all gotta pay bills. But yeah, it's a job just like any other one. So like, if your goal is to live that luxurious lifestyle, I wouldn't even recommend nursing. There's plenty of other options where you can make so much more money. It's nice though, you get a good schedule and you don't have to work as many days as everyone else. With that being said, don't do nursing unless you want to be a nurse and care for people, because you'll be wasting your
day is in
Man, that's a great point. He gave me a lot to kind of cover with that one because, yes, it's a lot of people now not even getting into nursing like for the love of nursing or to take care of people, just getting into it because it's really about the lifestyle that they feel like they'll be able to get from it. And you can see it. And you can see it sometimes at hospitals where the nurses are, depending where you are, but where the nurses are very disengaged. And sometimes, like, sometimes their patients be ringing the bell, ding, and they be on TikTok and they be ignoring it. They be ignoring their patients. Do you know how much it costs to stay in a hospital overnight? and they'll be like disengaged sometimes. It's some bad C nurses out there. It's a lot of great nurses, but it's some nurses that really don't care, and they really just got into it for the money. And speaking of the money, where did they get the idea that nursing was going to be able to grant them such an extravagant lifestyle? Well, I would argue that it was during COVID, right? Because it was so needed and there were so many opportunities, especially on the travel nursing side. There were nurses making $500,000, right? Travel nursing and all type of things, definitely six figures easily, even entry level. So that was a great opportunity. But if we get economical for a second, what do you think that causes when that type of reputation and when people start to convey that if you come over here, if you do this, there's going to be a lifestyle? Well, now what's going to happen is people are going to start flooding the profession. Remember, the reason why they were getting paid so much is because there was less nurses than what they actually needed. It's literally just supply and demand. There was a shortage of nurses, so they had more options, more opportunities. So in response, companies had to pay nurses more. But when people started understanding and seeing that, oh, this is a great field, this is a sustainable career, especially moving into a world where things are always becoming uncertain. This is a stable career, and this is a career that pays really well and allows you to live a great and extravagant lifestyle. I'm going to become a nurse now. And so many people start becoming nurses. Guess what's happening? That supply and demand, the supply is going up, and the shortages are starting to no longer be as exorbitant as they once were. So now what that does is the prices kind of settle back down, and they're not having to pay nurses so much because now they actually have the supply that they need. And I think that's what we're moving into. And you can adopt that to any career, right? Typically, when you start seeing people talking about a career is a great career to get into, and oh, it's going to have 30% growth in the next this amount of years. For what I found just from my eye test and from my experience, that's when it's already too late. If they're saying this is the career to be, and because people are making all this money, once people see that, people start flooding it. And then once everyone floods it, by the time you actually get in that position, it's called a market correction. It's gonna correct, and it's no longer gonna be as inflated as it once was. So people have to start seeing things from that view, right? And see, the only people who wouldn't really be affected by that, to that brother's point, is the people who actually have a passion for it. So even if the prices, or excuse me, the wages went down when they finally got into the career, because they actually got into the career for the right reasons, it really wouldn't matter to them either way, and they would still be grateful to get paid a reasonable wage for doing something that they actually love.
Dire Straits. It is one of the most high risk careers in the United States. Listen to some of this information. It's ranked one of the top 5 jobs that people are leaving in the United States today. It's one of the top 10 most dangerous jobs, according to multiple news and science surveys. 40% of nurses have high risk of long-term sick leave. That's according to the Journal of Occupational Medicine. The average nurse over 35 years old is on 5 medications. They cite limited time off, swing shifts, understaffing, patient volumes, and high stress in the workplace. You can't make women work 12 hours and not be allowed adequate amounts of time to eat and drink water throughout the day. It leads to metabolism adaptations that slows their metabolism down, builds oxidative stress, causes reactive hyperglycemia. Now they're stressed. Now they're tired. Now they're using caffeine all the time. Nearly 40 to 55% of nurses, depending on what study you read, are overweight, and it is not from overeating. These women are underfed, overstressed, and they are some of the sickest in our community, and they are the people who are responsible for taking care of us. How in the hell can we count on a medical healthcare system that can't even take care of its own people and expect it to take care of us?
The job market is horrible. So it's like I fought so hard
Yeah, that's the same argument a lot of times that can be made for teachers too.
to get this degree, to be a nurse, and there's no jobs. And I'm in so much debt from student loans.
Mm.
Like I spent all this money or I took all these loans out to get this degree thinking that, I would be able to pay, with my career. And guess what? There ain't no jobs. The jobs that's out there for nurse midwives, no new grads.
Those nurses that you guys see living those lavish lifestyles, buying luxury things, are typically travel nurses, or they're also just pulling a lot of like overtime, because overtime can be good for us. A lot of nurses have gotten into content creation because a lot of people do aspire to join the healthcare field. So they're getting like supplemented with a little bit of like money on the side. There's money coming from somewhere, but just the base pay as a nurse, you're not getting it. And I will also have very candid and honest conversations with people. Some people are just living off credit cards. I mean, they're not sacrificing any more of the time. Nursing already is like a laborious job, and people are upset that they have to work more than 312s to even sustain their lifestyle. They will just live off of credit cards. A lot of people are in a lot of debt. I'm gonna insert a screenshot from my bank statement. I will show you guys 2 paychecks that I received from my last job. This was before I became a travel nurse. Those checks were roughly about $1,800 each. The money that we make now just doesn't align with the economy. And honestly, the more you make, the more they take. So making more puts you in a different tax bracket. They're gonna take more. So essentially, you need to work probably 3 times as hard.
And so
That's interesting. She showed a little transparency of what she gets paid. I think making 1,800 net. I mean, she'd probably be like in the 60K realm. So she's base pay probably making about 60K. That's a lot less than what I was expecting to hear. But I guess it depends where you go. And like I said, the wages have corrected. It's no longer all those incentives, because I think they're starting to kind of fill a lot of those staffing shortages, and it's starting to become, more settled to where it's more sustainable. But I will say this, in any field, in any career, just about, there are people who are the go-getters, the people who are going to make it happen, the people who are going to take advantage of all the opportunities to make more money. Because regardless, I mean, I do know that there's a lot of overtime that nurses can get, and why not do that? Right? But we got to remember, most people, see, some of the people that they were probably watching too are probably people who just really like to work a lot because they just like money. There's some people who are like really money focused. And I was like that at one point. It's still a little bit in me, a little bit. But there's people who are just really money focused and they believe in work hard, play hard. But that's not most people. Most people just want to work their regular 40 hours, and they look at that like that's a lot, right? So I think most people are facing a reality check when they try to get into the field, when they realize, yeah, 40 hours is not hidden like I thought it was going to hit in this field, because they don't want to do the extra work, because that's what it's going to require, right? Sometimes people just want everything to just come regular, but if you want to get irregular results, you're going to have to take irregular actions, and you're going to have to be willing to do what most people won't. And that's pretty much in anything, I feel. If I was a nurse, shoot, I would be making 6 figures for sure. I would take advantage of all that, because I'm taking all them opportunities, and you have opportunities. It is a blessing to be able to have opportunities to make more money. Never get that mistaken. But like the first woman said in the first clip, I definitely agree that you should still make sure that your lifestyle is designed off your base pay. And then anything else is things that can get you ahead. And I think if you do that, then I think you'll be very well off. But we'll leave it there for today. If you could like the video, I greatly appreciate it. Only takes a second, and it actually helps out more than you know. And also, if you could hype the video, hype is a new feature that YouTube offers, where it helps smaller content creators like myself. And basically, when you hype, it actually pushes us to the extent that it pushes the larger content creators. So you just press the hype button, then it shows the points. And since I am a smaller channel and it was designed for smaller channels, we get more points per hype. So your hypes go further when you support smaller channels, and you only get 3 a week. So Definitely a great opportunity. And then also Patreon's link below if you want to see self-improvement content as well. But until then, I'll catch you in the next video.